Hi, I'm Jamie deRoy, and I'm here with Steven Sorokoff to talk to Bob SPIOTTO, who wears many hats, literally, because he's the entertainment director at the Friars Club, but he's also an entertainer himself. So, Bob, tell us about this Courting the Jester that you're doing over at
The Triad.
Which is I kind of started Jamie deRoy and Friends up there when it was just Steve McGraw's.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm excited to be bringing my show, Courting the Jester, a salute to Kaye, to the Triad on September 30th at 3 p.m. Tickets are available. As far as I know, they're available online or at the door, and I'm sure many of your listeners and followers have been to the Triad. It is a fabulous space.
We love the Triad.
Fits so well in there, and I'll be performing the show with my musical director, Peter Pace. It's a 90-plus minute tour de farce, taking us on this fabulous journey and a celebration of Kaye, who I'm sure many, many people remember from all of his fabulous films. As far as I know, they're available online or at the door, and I'm sure many of your listeners and followers have been to the Triad. It is a fabulous space, and this show fits so well in there, and I'll be performing the show with my musical director, Peter Pace. It's a 90-plus minute tour de farce, taking us on this fabulous journey and a celebration of Kaye, who I'm sure many, many people remember from all of his fabulous films and stage appearances. There are about 18 or 19 songs that I do.
Wow.
There's no intermission. And
they can't get out. You got them.
They can't get out. They can't get out. Exactly. And I've filled the stage with incredible Kaye memorabilia and photos and posters and props and some little costume changes. And it really is a fabulous piece. And I do so love doing it. And I've been so fortunate that I've been doing it for years now. And there is almost always someone in the audience who either knew Kaye, lived around the corner from him in Brooklyn, went to school with him, is a third cousin removed, and there's always a little Kaye magic in the audience. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Hans Christian Andersen that he did when I was a kid, I was just so in love with that, and he did that famous. The Tchaikovsky piece where
I do the Tchaikovsky piece.
I'm impressed.
Yes, I do, just as fast as he did.
Wow.
And it really is fun. And that piece, it's funny you bring that up, because that piece, for me, learning that was like riding a bicycle. Once you learn it, you never forget. And it never quite leaves you. And I have so much fun performing that piece. That comes early on in the show, because that was early on in his career, and then of course all the other films followed. So I'm going to say the brunt of the show really pays tribute to a lot of the films that he was in, and some wonderful stories. And you know, I've been fortunate over the years to meet with and talk to people that knew him. I personally never met Kaye, and I never saw him perform. So for me, he lives through all of those wonderful performances on film.
Well, I don't think I ever saw him in person, but obviously the movies and television.
Absolutely. And there was such a unique quality about him. And I don't impersonate, and I don't try to pretend to be Kaye as much as I try to embody a spirit and an energy and bring back some of those wonderful songs. And there are certainly songs that people know and recognize. And
well, what are some of the songs?
Okay, so in no particular order, although I do start with a Yiddish song, which is rather interesting, because certainly one of the first languages he heard growing up in Brooklyn. But of course, Tchaikovsky, as we mentioned. I'm always delighted to perform a little medley of the Five Pennies and Lullaby and Ragtime from the Five Pennies, and I actually do that with my musical director. We do a nice little counterpoint. It depends on how I'm feeling. There are a few songs from Hans Christian Andersen, which you referenced. Sometimes I will do Ugly Duckling, which I really like, because it provides a nice little transition in between some of the other pieces. I like Old People, which is a wonderful children's song, which also has some real powerful meaning and message for those audience members who might be getting on in years. So
I'm relating to it more.
Yes,
and more.
Okay. Me too. And Ball and the Jack, which was a real favorite of his, which I love to do. And we actually put together, my musical director and I, we had to kind of score out the Maladjusted Jester, which is another one of those amazing patter songs from the Court Jester. So that's just a little sampling of some of the songs. I also do I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts, I Belong to Glasgow.
Yeah.
There were a whole slew of songs with some information about each one of them. And then, of course, just some wonderful narrative and storytelling and inside stories and
So is
backstage
it
stuff.
a lot about his life, I take it?
Absolutely. It really is from womb to tomb. You know, and I think I've touched upon so many areas and aspects of both his life and his career. Invariably, there is always someone who comes up to me after the show and says, "How come you didn't perform, you know, a particular song?" Usually people want to hear Anatole of Paris, which is from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which I don't perform because I had to leave some songs out.
Right. When I first moved to New York, they were trying to do a musical on The Secret Life of Walter
Yes.
Mitty. I don't think it ever got done anywhere, but I went to a backers audition.
Okay.
Not that I was backing it, but somebody
Right.
invited me, so I went. But that, it sounds really exciting. And
It is.
what was his original, because I know he had a very Jewish name originally. What was it?
Kaminsky. Kaminsky. Yes,
I couldn't
David Daniel Kaminsky.
Uh-huh.
And then his brother had actually come home from the army and he had changed his name to Kaye. Now, Danny was going to actually change his last name to Kamin, Kamin. But he decided when his brother had come home and his brother had changed it to Kaye, he decided he would go with that. And so he became Danny Kaye.
And the rest is history,
That's it.
folks. Well, we wish you all the best with
Thank
this
you.
show. I mean, it does truly sound wonderful, and we love the Triad. The Triad's been many carnations. It started as for Paulson's, where Forbidden Broadway started. Then it became Steve McGraw's.
Right.
Then it became the Triad, and it's really spawned a lot of talent, a lot of shows, and so it's got a lot of history there. And we really love it.
Absolutely.
We wish you luck. All right, baby doll.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you. See you on September 30th.
3 o'clock.
The Triad.